Many scholars, throughout the generations of time, get taught this one statement. Christopher Columbus sailed the oceans in 1492. With this statement being true, there is a much bigger part of the story, here, on Stories of the Past. Although many children are taught that Columbus sailed the seas in 1492, and supposedly found the Americas, which is accurate. A majority of the story is left untold. The great Christopher Columbus did much more to shape the world we have today. Christopher Columbus, or his real name, Cristoforo Colombo, was born around 1451, in the city of Genoa, Italy. Columbus grew up with his father Domenico Colombo, and his mother, Susanna Fontanarossa. He grew up with his three brothers, Bartholomew, Giovanni, and Giacomo, and his sister, Bianchinetta. Being the son of a wool merchant, Columbus quickly got a job on a merchant ship, around his teenage years. However, in 1470, when the ship Columbus worked on was sailing along the coast of Portugal, his whole job fell apart when French privateers simply attacked the ship. Even though the boat sunk, young Christopher Columbus did not. He managed to quickly hop onto a scrap of wood, where he would float all the way to Lisbon, Portugal. Here, he would start cracking his plan that would change the world forever. Moving to Lisbon benefited Christopher tremendously. There, he learned mathematics, astronomy, cartography, and navigation, all of which helped Columbus with his journey that would take place about 20 years later. At the end of the 15th century, reaching Asia from Europe by land was nearly impossible to attempt. The supposedly recommended route was long, arduous, and encounters with armies of such kind were difficult to avoid. The ocean was the key, and the only other option at the time. So thought the many Portuguese explorers and shipmen. Sailing along the West African coast, and around the Cape of Good Hope, was the most satisfying, and easiest water route to this far by land. However, Columbus's response was different. He said, why not sail west across the Atlantic instead of around the massive African continent? He argued that the circumference of the Earth was much smaller, and that west across the Atlantic was simply just Asia. Only one problem: he didn't have anyone to fund this exploration. After trying not only Portugal, but England too, no monarchy would insist of funding his exploration. Not until 1491 however, when he made it to Spain. The Spanish monarchs, Ferdinand of Aragon, and Isabella of Castile decided to fund his journey. This worked out well. Not only Columbus, but Ferdinand and Isabella both wanted to gain fame and fortune. The contract he gradually signed with the Spanish monarchs stated that Columbus would keep 10% of whatever riches he came across during the expedition, mainly for Isabella and Ferdinand. This was the right way to do it. So thought both parties. It's August 3, 1492 in Spain. The first voyage Columbus would ever take was just about to happen. Columbus, with his crew, took 3 ships out to sea, he named Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. This trip, so Columbus assumed, was not just going to be very quick, but very easy as well. This, of course, was not the case. Once he arrived on 12 October, he landed on one of the Bahamian islands we know today. With this being true, Christopher still assumed that it was Asia. Months have passed. Christopher spent these months not just sailing from island to island in today's Caribbean, but looking for the precious pearls, stones, silver and spices that he promised the Spanish monarchs he would get. Sadly, he did not find much merchandise. What he did find, however, was the present-day islands of Haiti and the Dominican Republic in March of 1493. He left 40 men there to create a settlement that he named Hispaniola, before returning back to Spain. It's September 1493. After spending 6 months back in Spain, Columbus voyages back out the islands he last visited. He visits Hispaniola.